here to
Okay, seeing that it's 6 o'clock, I guess we could all start the meeting and let's pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For a minute, I thought I was in church.
Thank you all for coming. This is the July 10th, 2023 regular town board meeting. Elizabeth is out. Her husband has injured his knee, so she's tending to his injury, and so I'm on the hot seat again. Hopefully I don't screw it up. Bill Kimball will tell me if I do. Bill, how was the movie last night?
It was excellent. You were there?
What did you see?
Actually, no, it was a movie then.
I went to say hello to you, and you disappeared so quickly I couldn't ask you what you were going to say.
Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's what I said. Did you like it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? It was a
Absolutely.
little bit too long. No?
You want your money's worth?
We all have to say goodbye.
Okay, you can say goodbye.
Anyway, so let me jump into this. I thought it was a little too long. Call to order, pledge of allegiance. Approval of prior meeting minutes. May I have a motion? Motion. Need a second?
Second.
Great. Any comments or questions or issues with the prior meeting minutes? Hearing none? All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? None. So moved. Moving forward to announcements, committee liaison reports.
I have an issue with the Conservation Board for
Yes,
our,
sir.
they are down to only 2 members, they need 5 for quorum, for a membership, they only have 5. So they can't really, they can meet, but they can't make any decisions of any what they're defunct, basically.
Okay. So if anybody's interested in joining our CAB, our Conservation Advisory Board, we have openings. Anybody else? The only other thing I had on the list here in terms of announcements, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at the Rec Park, Liz Irwin Memorial Tree Dedication. I'm going to try to be there. And CAB members, we need them. We have a presentation item.
Josh, excuse me,
Yeah.
it slipped my mind. I
Yes,
should
sir.
mention, some of you may know, on the 5th, we passed a resolution approving the construction of our public pickleball courts. Construction will begin this week. It was supposed to begin early this week, but the flooding in Orange County messed up our contractor, and they're going to be a little delayed, but I'm flat out promised that they will begin the work this week.
What's the duration?
It will take about a month to do all of the work, with the exception of laying down the acrylic playing surface. You have to wait for a month for the underlying asphalt to cure or to bleed through the acrylic. So
Is-
we're now looking to approximately Labor Day weekend to open the courts.
Is there anything Bobby needs to know, or?
The engineer who's working on this for field turf told me today he has spoken with Bobby 3 to 5 times in the last day or two.
Okay, great.
They're really working well together.
Super. That's great. Okay. Anything else? So we have a presentation this evening from Archtop Fiber Optics. If you guys could come up and announce yourselves and give us the spiel.
I feel like I should always tell a joke when I stand in front of this. I'm not a funny guy. So. My name is Sean Mackay. I am one of the founders of Archtop Fiber. I'm also a resident of the town. And my colleague, Tom Weckesser, is actually a lifelong resident of town, born and raised here, and spent 35 years with Frontier, actually, before joining us earlier this year. And I think that maybe I should just sort of tell you a little bit about who we are, what we're doing, and how that's going to impact you, and then open it up to questions and just sort of describe exactly who we are. But first, who we are really is a group of old friends. We've been in the industry more decades, frankly, than we're comfortable sharing. You know, closing in on 3 decades, 30 years for me, and a little over 30 for him. And we were the management team of what we consider a beloved old company. It was called Resonant Communications. It was run by and owned by a family, a really iconoclastic person from our industry. He really was one of the few people who kind of thought up cable TV and broadband, and I worked for Bill till the day he died, and the company was sold to what is now what you know as Charter. And we built fiber optic and telecommunication systems really all over the world. but we were based in Westchester County. And after Bill passed away, the CEO, our CFO, Jeff DeMond, became our CEO. He's now still a dear friend and CEO of this company. Lenny Higgins is another co-founder, and myself. And we have, after Bill died in 2009, the company, as I said, sold. We have since done a few projects together with the idea of putting the company together sort of in the image of Bresnan Communications, which was just a really phenomenal place to work. We built cable systems and broadband systems throughout the Rocky Mountains, all of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, built Santiago, Chile, Warsaw, Krakow, Poland after the Berlin Wall fell, most of the Midwest from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan on down. And as I said, after Mr. Bresnan passed away, the family decided it was time to sell. And since then, the founders, we've started a couple of things. We built in the state of New York about 4,400 miles of fiber optics from Corning, New York to Jamestown, New York. It was the largest project in partnership with the state of New York, and it has brought the latest in fiber optics to pretty much the least dense populated area in the state of New York. Pretty proud of that project, and we feel like it prepared us for this strategy of what we're doing now. What are we doing? We are going to be building, or already started building, a state-of-the-art fiber optic, fiber-to-the-home internet and phone system to compete with your incumbent providers, both Frontier, Verizon, and Charter, which, competition is good. We have one provider, your prices are here. If you have two providers, they inevitably go down. What we will be building is a XGS-PON, which is, we love our acronyms in this industry, but it is basically a fiber optic system that is all dielectric. It runs on light. We put a hub site, and then we run basically 20-kilometer loops out of that hub site. And we have already started permitting and construction for roughly 3,000 miles of fiber. We are the first tenant in the iPark IBM facility in Kingston, where we're putting 95 people in the first phase. We have just, I think, 27 hired today. And we are waiting avidly. We're in temporary space over there while they build out our fresh new space. We're very excited. There's well over $10 million in materials there, waiting for permits from Central Hudson Gas and Electric and National Grid.
Is
to
the
get
permitting
started.
process local, and how exactly does it work? Who do you have to get yes to yes with?
Great question. We have what is called a CPCN, or a CLEC, Competitive Local Exchange Carrier certification from the state of New York. We get that from the Department of Public Service. That allows us access to the public rights of way. It also allows us to enter into pole attachment agreements with the incumbent electric utilities and get access to their poles. Ordinarily, we build about an 80-20 split, about 80% of it aerial, 20% underground. We have another proposal that we'd like to talk to you. We're actually in conversations right now with Mayor Bassett in the village about doing something called micro-trenching. We've already talked to Dutchess County about it. I'd like to talk about that in a minute, but let's talk a little bit about what XGS-PON is. It is the latest internet technology. It's available in Seoul, South Korea, in Tokyo, Japan, Seattle. And there are a few companies, even Charter's, testing it, but it basically allows us to provision, the day it's built, 10 gig. So if you're getting 800 or 900 megabits from your cable provider, and that's best efforts, this is a fully 10 gig capable network, and that's up and down. So if you notice your internet slows down around dinner time when everybody's on it, this is a dedicated circuit, so you will actually not be able to slow it down. Just, your neighbor wouldn't be able to slow it down by their use. So it really is again, the very latest, a fantastic, very, very stable, very, very environmentally friendly platform, because if you notice, cable systems require a power supply every 150 feet or so. The only electronics in our network are on these particular hub sites, and obviously the termination device in your home plugs in as well. The initial plan is to go up one side of the Hudson and down the other from basically southern Albany on the other side of the river, and Hudson on this side of the river, all the way down to essentially here, a little bit south of here we're looking. You can see about 125 miles of fiber are currently planned for the township. 116 or so that aerial, 9 underground. We believe that will be significantly different based on difficulties we are having with the electric utilities getting access to their poles. That is roughly about a $15 million investment in the township. Where's that coming from? We are actually 100% funded, and we're funded by what we consider the best institutional investors of their kind. Ontario, Canada Teachers Pension Fund, New York State Pension Fund. And so it is long-term capital operational investment. It's not the type of private equity investment that sort of flips in and out. And so that means that the people that you are talking to today are the people you will be talking to in perpetuity. As I said, I'm a founder of the company. I live in Rhinebeck. I commute across the bridge every day to my office in Kingston. Tom is my right hand. He's actually going to be the guy responsible for building it. And again, a lifelong resident of Rhinebeck also. So the phone number you have on the card that I think I left around, or here they are, is my personal cell phone number. We actually have a company policy. The exception of the CEO, we all actually make our numbers available. It's a challenge, but it's worthwhile.
Sorry to hear
And from there, I don't know what I'm missing here. We've done this so many times, I'm starting to get backed up on it, but in this deck, which you can see, you'll see basically roughly what we're planning on building. And it really stands on what we call a three-legged sort of revenue tier. One is we are purchasing really old, actually. Many of them are over 120-year-old family-run phone companies. Germantown Telephone Company, Hancock Telephone Company, and GTEL. So we own GTEL now. And the Blumsack family, which has been running it for 118 years, I think, this year, are dear friends. And they have had offers many times over those many decades. And we take it as a real feather in our cap that they're willing to sell to us. Their families, like Hancock Telephone, that their family are staying on board. Brittany, who is Bruce's daughter, is staying on board. His son-in-law is staying on board. And those companies will operate much as they do now, but for the first time in their lives, really, complete access to capital and to be upgraded to the latest technologies. And
Is that the same model for distribution here in terms of buying local?
well, there is no local incumbent
that's
that
what-
we
that's
could
what-
buy here. We would have to buy Frontier, and they're a little bit,
Yeah.
arms a little too short to box with God. You know, so we're actually going to be building a competitive network.
Got it.
The incumbent network is in the phone company footprint, and then around the phone company footprints, and you'll see it on this page, the various different colors are the incumbent areas, and then the areas around them actually the colored areas are what we're calling the greenfield expansion, and that is roughly 3,000 miles of fiber to about 150,000 customers which currently get their service from other incumbents. That will, as I said, that has started already. We are hoping to be signing our first customers this summer. Things have gotten pretty tense with delays with regard to permitting at the Central Hudson level, but we are working really hard with their executive team and with local policymakers and elected officials to help us get through that process. The third leg, so the first leg of the stool is these incumbent phone companies. We're giving them the access to capital and grow. We're building this very large competitive network around it. All of that with 100% private equity or capital. We're all investors in our company as well. And we actually operate with 100% equity. We have zero debt. We don't even have a line of credit. So all of that capital that you see sitting in a yard in Kingston, again, is all bought with equity. All the permitting fees, the consultants, the salaries we're paying are all equity. And the reason we did that, it's not easy to do, but the reason we pushed and did that is we saw interest rates changing. And we didn't want to be in a position where we were going to be chasing interest rates around the market, and so we used a full. That won't be at some point 5 or 6 years from now when we're done with construction. We may put some leverage on it, but
So is there something in all this process that we need to do beyond informing people that you're an option out there?
yes, we have found in those 30 years or so that we get involved in the communities at a very, very granular level. It's not just the social things like putting up Christmas ornaments with our bucket trucks and participating in the parades, but we actually get involved. We like to come in early before we put a shovel in the ground, before we start really putting things and say, hey man, this is what we're doing. What are we missing? Because again, I'm relatively new to the area. Obviously we hire a lot of localism there, but we want to be not just the best provider that you have in Rhinebeck, but we also want to be the people you call first. When you have an issue with telecommunications or within the internet, we want to be that company that's here. And so what we need from you really is knowledge and expertise. We want to express the dialogue in such a way that you can show us all the good things about our plan, but also anything that we've missed. And that really is the third leg of the stool. In the village of Rhinebeck, virtually everybody is served at this point.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be, but there is this veritable tsunami of public funding. We're going to operate this system with private capital. We're not looking for any money from the federal government, the state government, or locals, or the local municipalities. But there is a tremendous amount, $52.7 billion that was appropriated during the pandemic. About 1.2 or almost $1.3 billion when we spent in the state of New York. There are areas in Rhinebeck town where there are unserved or underserved locations. I'm sure you have all gotten those phone calls from someone up 3 miles of road with a small farm that hasn't been able to get it from their incumbent provider. This money is for that, and we look to be a partner with the town, and we've done this with, we actually have the MOU with the county already. And so, in reality, if you decided to do nothing and to say, thanks for coming, but we don't want to talk to you anymore, we would continue with this project because we have our state certification and we have already have these. But these MOUs are agreements that are relatively simple. They can be, and then some of them are more complex when we talk about micro-trenching. But the simplicity of them is they are non-binding, so you can enter it and exit it at any time. It requires absolutely no commitment by the township at all, other than attention to our plan. And we are creating a working group under the aegis of the county where we say, okay, Archtop is planning on doing this, but that doesn't cover, although it's a significant amount, as I said, roughly 120 miles of fiber. With 150 miles of fiber, let's say, we could get to all of these hinterlands, because we currently spend somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 per home to pass it and serve it, and our model works well at that. But there are areas out in the sort of deeper parts of the township where it would cost us $5,000 or $6,000 or even $7,000 to reach that one home.
And what is the solution typically in those scenarios, or there's many solutions?
We put our $2,000 up still. We submit an application to the Community New York State Connect All program and say, okay, we want to serve not just the 125,000 or 130,000 that we are planning to serve, but there's 30,000 more people that should be able to get service that we can't make a private investment return on investment for.
Got it.
So the difference between the $2,000 that we're already going to spend and whatever it costs to actually get to those homes would be federal and state funding. And that money is coming whether we like it or not.
Right.
Historically, public funding has been sort of anathema to us. We spend our money, we do it well, we operate. We have won every customer service award so many times that the agencies that give them asked us to not apply every other year because they wanted to give it to other companies. And we, in this case, we would we would enter into an agreement with the township to say, hey, where are the places in the town that we haven't either been able to pencil out ourselves, or frankly, just don't even know about? And we would show you the availability, we'd sit, and over the next several months, as these programs take shape, come up with a regional plan to apply for money to expand our network out to the areas where it's not economically viable.
Is the blue in this plan have any relationship to what you're doing, or that's
Yes.
just,
That's
it?
the 116
That's it.
miles of area fiber.
So what's the timeline?
We're starting now.
Yeah, but when are you gonna have something that we can use?
There'll be customers signed up by the end of the summer.
How soon could you get the town, this building on your network?
We are working closely with the village right now.
You're working with the wrong ones, because the village access to the internet is through this building.
Well, it's not the agreement to provide service that we're talking about. It's how do we expedite getting the infrastructure built into the town and into
Okay.
the village. And through that, it's something we like to do called micro trenching.
Right, I heard you.
And it's actually a very, very modern way of doing things. Google is doing it now in Utah and a couple of in Arizona, a
I'm
couple
not
of
sure
other
that's
places.
an endorsement. but-
It wasn't originally, but they're doing it well. They're building about 86,000 feet a week, and it goes about 12 to 14 inches below the surface, so it's well above the traditional underground utilities, but below where you would mill and scrape and repave. And it allows us, it's a very narrow 1-inch wide trench. We put several conduits below in the ground, we refill it to the top and then regrade that top of it.
So what's the target date for getting service to this building?
Um,
Sorry to keep asking.
If everything goes well, we have to put our hub site, our building
Yeah, I
in
understand.
Rhinebeck. So if it all falls into place, I would say mid-fall
Okay,
would be for this to get it here.
Right now, we are scheduled it's scheduled now for September.
okay.
We are already delayed on our permits from
I
the arson,
understand.
and so I believe it will be either the end of September or the 1st of October.
Okay.
Cool. I think what probably makes sense is to set up a follow-up call with one of us, and probably the highway department too, and Warren, the plans care attorney. So let's figure out a time in the next week or so where we can jump on a call or whatever. Is it possible to get a larger scale map of that?
Sure.
Because I think that would help just to understand where you're planning to run stuff.
Yeah, we can happy to share you where we have permits going in, where our hub site is going, is actually going in at the,
187 East Market.
Yeah, cool. Any relation to 5G and wireless?
not directly, although we provide something through a platform called Plume, which it's a mesh Wi-Fi service that we provide in every location that we have. It's extraordinarily effective, but we do not provide, 5G is a cellular technology and
I
you
know.
need those towers. What we will help with 5G is that all of the fiber we're going to be putting in the ground and around will actually power companies like Crown Castle and Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile will lease our fiber to put more radios up more efficiently, so they will increase the coverage of 5G. We will also be offering a cellular technology through something called an MVNO. Now, we don't own wireless spectrum, but we will, as a bundle, provide high-speed internet, as I said, in the 8 to 10 gig range. And we will also be providing a cellular service on top of that, and traditional phone service as well.
So, 'cause my opinion is that in 10 years, it's all going to be wireless.
You know, a lot of people say that, and I'd love to sit over a cup of coffee and explain to you how that can't really, as an engineer, I can tell you how that can't happen, but yes.
I'm an engineer too, so we can have that conversation.
I'm sorry, sir, you're basically an alternative to Spectrum, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think we say, we consider ourselves significantly better than, that is a hybrid fiber coax. So they actually send radio frequencies down an aluminum conductor. It requires a lot of electricity to do it. It's best efforts, so the node out in front of your house will have 20 or 30 people on it, if all 20 go on that. So it's not apples to apples in terms of service,
And if they have an old TV set which puts noise onto the line, you lose bandwidth.
Yeah, actually, you know, that RF frequency is the exact same frequency used by air traffic control, which is why cable companies have to do their signal leakage tests, because they can actually put signal leakage. But it's all fiber optic, so it's light that goes down, not radio frequencies. Or Frontier service was copper, so it's electrons down a copper conductor. This is just the next order of magnitude. This is what everybody should have.
Great, thanks, guys.
Thank you, I'll
Appreciate
give you
it.
the card.
Yeah, let's get the map.
Yeah, I think it's important. So I'll follow up with you guys.
Sure.
Via email. Before we jump into the resolutions, there's a bunch of people here. Is anybody, just to jump to public comment on non-agenda items, is there anybody here for something specific they'd like to speak to us about? Please come on up, join us.
They're different.
Thank you for moving the agenda.
Well, I mean, you're welcome to stay with us through the resolutions and budget transfers.
Some of you know me. I'm Sue Hartshorn. I'm a member of the Open Space Affordable Housing Committee. I think it's 12 years, but it may be 15 years. And what I'm here to do is just ask how you all are moving along with the process, what you see as your timeline for the process of accepting this and getting, I guess, forks in the ground.
So I can claim complete ignorance on the status of that at the moment. Does anybody else know more about the affordable housing? Because I'm just not up to speed with that
It's really
process.
in the hands of the planning board. You should ask Sue.
I thought it started with you, and you all were going to do some things like, as the village has, about water, wastewater
Well,
treatment.
we're still waiting for the response from the village.
Which my understanding is coming any moment.
Okay.
But the step and procedures past that, I can't give you an update. I'm happy to spend time tomorrow, pull together an email to you or give you a call. I just don't have it in my head at this moment.
Okay, well, I don't know that I want my email.
I wouldn't give it to me either.
You could write it. I'll give you my card if I have it.
Sounds good. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
thanks, Josh.
No worries.
But there are lots of us who, sorry, an addendum, there are lots of us who really want to see this happen as soon as possible.
Understood.
Thank you.
What's that?
Somebody else wants.
Would you like to join us, please?
A similar comment, since Gary's here, he could probably, Donna, address the committee.
Sure.
I also, I just wanted to understand better the timeline around affordable housing. Like as Sue said, I talked to a lot of people, and I know there's just a significant interest in understanding when this is going to, and the need. I've talked to wait staff in the restaurants. There are really high level of interest, and I think it's really important if we can get some guidance on the timeline. Sure. Once you get the village sends its resolution and so on, which I think is happening tomorrow night, perhaps you could.
Yeah, so I'm the liaison to the planning board.
You are, okay.
But this is a project driven by the company that's building the facility. It's their timeline that you want to know, not ours.
But as I recall, just, I understood when Warren Raplansky at the one public hearing laid out a set of 8 steps,
Yeah.
then there
Where are
were,
we in the steps?
where are you in the steps? And I think one of those steps was another, some kind of movement on the part of the
Yeah.
board, then to the planning board. But again, it's 5.
Yeah, I'm happy to give you all an update.
Thank you.
Anybody else before we jump into the resolutions? Nope. Great. Resolution 2023-180, Star Library 414 petition. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Thanks. May I have a second? Thanks, Alan. This is basically the next step in the process. The library has asked for a bump in their annual contribution from the town, and this is the next step. So at the end of the day, information will go, Joan will send it to the Board of Elections, and if it becomes subject to a referendum, then it will go to vote. Any comments, questions?
I have a question. I'm curious. maybe somebody here can help. This comes to us with a resolution by the Star Library Board of Trustees asking for this funding, or this increase in their annual funding. The resolution makes the following statement in part, that the Board of Trustees of the Star Library hereby endorses the petition presented to it, signed by several hundred Rhinebeckians, and directs that the following question be voted on at the November 7, 2023 general election of the town of Rhinebeck, which makes it sound as though we don't have any discretion. So,
I don't think we have any discretion.
so what are we doing?
My understanding is this is just another step in this process that we have to move along to keep this thing going, so that if it is subject to permissive referendum, it happens. That's my understanding.
Anybody know anybody on that, sir? I'm in favor of the funding, don't misunderstand. This is-
I'm the president. of the board.
Maybe it's an academic question, but.
We were instructed by our attorneys and by municipal attorneys that this was the wording that we needed to use. I think that the big piece of the step here is that it's to ensure that a different body, which is, I think, the election board, has gone through the signatures to be sure that they match up with the voter registration. So in other words, it's not just our word for it, but it's also, that's why we endorse it, and then we direct that the review be made of the voter registration, and then if all is acceptable, then we would then expect it to be in.
Is the review you referred to conduct under your supervision?
This is the board,
Yeah,
board of elections.
Okay, all right. Which leaves me with the same question.
Joan, correct me?
I am the one who does that review, yes.
Joan,
Ah,
there's your answer.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the
Thank you,
procedure. And I know that Warren has gone through this,
Okay,
so
I just wondered if we were just doing this
willy-nilly.
for no good reason, but
I
my
understand that's
question's
part
been
of the
answered.
that's
Thank
part of
you.
the process.
Okay.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None. So moved. Resolution 2023-181, Assessor Certification Class Reimbursement. May I have a motion?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Jennifer Munn is going to get some education at a New York State Institute of Assessors Associate Certification class at Cornell, and we would like her to go do this. So any questions or comments or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. 2023-182 tax certiorari settlement marks. May I have a motion? May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. We have two tax certiorari proceedings this evening. The first one is related to property on Morton and on Morton Road, two pieces of property. Any comments, questions, concerns?
Yeah, I'm a little uneasy about this in Elizabeth's absence because she really monitors these kinds of proposals. And I would suggest that unless we know
100% the property.
that she's,
Okay.
unless we know that these are acceptable to her, I would suggest we table it until we can, because she really studies them and makes sure
Yeah,
that,
I agree.
okay. Do you need a separate motion for that?
So I think we're going to need a motion for holding over 2023-182 and 2023-183.
So moved.
All right. And we have to vote on that, Joan, correct?
Yes.
May I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye. All for it, none opposed. Okay. 2023-184, appoint planning board member Sharon Sherrod. May I have a motion?
Motion.
A second. Thank you, Sharon, for coming back to the planning board.
I'm here.
Is she here? No. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. 2023-185, computer networking, network shared services with village configuration. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Alan, what is this?
It's an update to the devices that are in the highway department, the pool, and the transfer station that need to be updated because they're out of warranty.
Got it. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None, so moved. Resolution 2023-186, payment to the Cultural Landscape Guide. Need a motion?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Great. This is something that's been approved and primarily funded by the county. Cultural Landscape Guide is going to be a specific website dedicated to our cultural resources here in Rhinebeck and elsewhere in Dutchess County, and will be a great landing page for all these things that we have here. Any comments, questions, concerns? Did I get a motion? Did I motion that one? Did I motion that?
I motioned it and
Second.
Great.
some.
Any comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So moved. Resolution 2023-187, Recreation Program Aquazumba. We're adding some more Aquazumba at the pool. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Recreation. Resolution 2023-188, concession stand contract addendum. I have a motion.
Motion.
Second. Thank you, Ed. So we have a movie Under the Stars event at the Star Park that's coming up, and we are doing the recreation stand for additional hours. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, I have a vote. All those
Aye.
Everyone's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one opposed? Thank you. Resolution 2023-189, recreation new hire and salary change.
Motion.
Is there a second? Second, thank you.
And this is just 2 more employees for summer camp and
Yeah, and Finn just made nationals in 2 events, so he's doing well in swimming. Any questions, comments, concerns? None. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None. All right. 2023-190, adult soccer pickup program. I have a motion.
motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Essentially, we're adding some programming down at the soccer field based on feedback from the rec committee and users of the soccer field, and we're going to offer coaching and adult pickup. The question in here was what the split between instructor and town would be, and that is typically 75-25 as I understand it with other endeavors, but in this instance, Carrie and the rec committee are making an argument for 50-50. So this is something we can adjust in the future, should we see it, but they think that this is a more equitable and attractive way to do it, so I'm in support of them.
More money to us. Why not? If the coach is willing to do it, fine.
Any other questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I have to adjust this, don't I, Joan? Because the 50s. Okay, great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Thank you. Okay, now the exciting stuff. 2023-199, preliminary accounts payable abstract. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
A second.
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Resolution 2023-192, capital project abstract. May I have a motion?
Motion.
A second. Thanks, Alan. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. I'll make a motion for 2023-193, budget transfers and amendments. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Jumping ahead from new business, Alan, do you want to jump into,
Well, did we have something to do with the fire department?
oh, do you want to do that last or want to do that now?
What are we doing now? You guys,
Yeah.
anybody here from the fire department? No, okay. We
Um,
can do it later.
So I'm going to make a motion for Resolution 2023-194, which we are going to entitle allowing the Rhinebeck Fire Department use of cemetery facility. The fire department wants to use our chapel for training. This was a late ask this morning, and we'd like to grant it.
And I was there today, and I spoke to Suzanne, she's in favor of it.
Okay, great. Anybody else opposed or questions or concerns? What's the formal way to get through this language-wise?
Just the way you're doing it, and I'll write something up.
Okay, so do I have to make a motion for
Yeah.
the language itself, or it's already on the table now because I made the
Go
motion?
ahead.
All right, may I have, so we're just voting on it, right?
Second? You need a second?
Second? Mhm. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Okay,
All right.
thank you, Al, for correcting me on that part. See you leave this one. Okay, do you want to
I'll
jump
talk
into?
about composting. All right, so at our last meeting, I went through some detail on the composting situation. And what I'm going to do now is just summarize it. If you're interested in more detail, the charts that I presented at the special meeting we had a week ago
Yeah, Thursday.
are online already, and they'll be in the minutes for this meeting as well. So basically, we looked at 4 alternative sites to use for composting. One was the village highway department that's in the town. One is the transfer station that the town owns. The third one would be a local farmer would do it. And the fourth one would be to use the compost facility across the river at the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. There's a chart in the presentation that compares costs and compares, well, just essentially costs. The first 2 alternatives, using the transfer station, which is way out of the way and doesn't have equipment and doesn't have staffing, using the highway department in the town was essentially dropped because of the resistance from the neighbors and the possibility of interfering with the quality of their lives, shall we say. They were all here to talk about that. So basically, it leaves 2 other alternatives, which is one, use the transfer station, use the Dutchess County Resource Recovery, which basically entails hiring a carting company to go around and pick up compost from 3 sites, one in the village parking lot, one to be determined in Rhinecliff, and one at the transfer station, and take them over to Kingston. The alternative of using a local farmer, we still need to work out details and agreements, but the idea would be that the farmer himself or herself would go around to the sites that we have bins in and collect them and take them back to the farm. If they required the carting company, which is called Ozone, to pick them up, then the cost would be more, basically comparable to taking it over to Kingston, so why bother? The restaurants in Rhinebeck today already use Ozone to pick their compost up and take it somewhere. Today, they take it to Kingston. That's not included in any of these alternatives. The restaurants would still employ Ozone. So basically, what we're doing is Gary, the mayor of the village, and I are working on trying to figure out what the best alternative is and looking at the legal issues that might occur because of the use of a farm in the town to do composting for the population. The only other variable is there's a $300,000 worth of grants that we probably can't use all of to do, if a farmer wanted to do it, we're gonna try to figure out a way to use some of that money to fund a compost facility in the town. Want to add anything, Gary?
No.
Okay.
I think covered. I mean, the main point here is, we've looked at the alternatives, and what we're saying is, or what you're saying is, the transfer station is really unaffordable to do.
Yeah.
And you forgot to mention the fact that there's so many wetlands up there that there's not a usable space.
The presentation that you can get a copy of shows the wetlands situation on the transfer station. And the placement of a compost facility is problematic. Not only that, there's no equipment up there, so you need a skid steer, and all this is in a chart. You need a skid steer and a front-end loader that's not there, and you need staff. So the only staff that's available would be either at the highway garage, the town for the village, or the farmer would be the staff, or the resource recovery in Kingston. In terms of pickup, Ozone has quoted me a number of $780 a month to provide bins and pickup and delivery locally, in other words, to a farm, let's say, and $931 a month to take it to Kingston because of the tolls and the extra distance. So we can get away without having a compost facility in the town by taking everything over to the Resource Recovery Agency, which the more I think about it, the more I like that alternative. But we're going to work on it. So, I mean, it's not a done deal yet. And if anybody has any input, I'd be happy to hear.
Join us.
Sure.
Tell us what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong first.
Do you have an hour?
Hi, thanks. I'm John Cusick. I was part of the group that, who tried to work on not having it at the highway department.
Yes.
So I guess I have a question and a comment. One, we didn't hear about or know or missed somehow the special meeting last week. So where can we find the presentation?
It's online. It's in the minutes of the last meeting, and it'll be in the minutes of this meeting. Or here you go.
Okay.
This wasn't discussed at the special meeting.
Oh,
It was.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
So,
You sure?
it was discussed at the special meeting.
That was
And it
great.
wasn't really announced at the special meeting. And we
Of course I
had
was here.
a small debate at that meeting about whether it should be presented at all, and it did. So you can also watch the video of it all on Panda
right.
to see it all. But I think the larger context of it is that we are working together with the village to try to make this thing work to the greatest good.
So was the special meeting announced to the public, or was it just for you guys?
No, special meetings are announced.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sort of looking at everybody in the audience. I think it's kind of odd we all missed it. You have to understand there's some mistrust here about this whole process.
understand.
Not with you guys
That's
specifically, but you know.
Completely fair. And
That's
I
why
can
we
get
put it,
something.
that's why we put it on the
And
agenda.
that, you know, that's all. We just, we are surprised that there's been a discussion already. I guess the follow-up is, it sounds like the highway department is off of the,
Yeah, I would say
as-
so. And so is
Okay.
the transfer station.
okay, so here's my question to you guys. Can you guarantee us that the highway department is 100% not an option at this point?
I don't think I can give you a 100% guarantee that I'll wake up tomorrow.
It's not what I'm asking you.
As far as I'm concerned, it is. So what do you think, Gary?
I'm not going to answer for the future of composting.
I think it's an inappropriate question, and that it would be inappropriate for us to answer it.
Okay, so then here I'll just tell you, our lawyer is still on retainer, and we will fight this if it goes, if you guys
We
try
heard,
to
were you the ones that
jam.
made the threat to bankrupt the
I
town?
am, and I stand behind that, as do all of my neighbors.
Well, I think
I assure you, it doesn't scare us a damn bit. It's a pretty outrageous thing to say.
Bring it on, baby, bring
Pretty
it on.
outrageous thing to say.
Bring it on,
And I'm sure you know better.
bring it on. Because we're not afraid of you either.
Moving along. Yes, sir. Join us.
My name's Arthur Berkins.
Hey, Arthur.
I think composting is great. I've been using my own compost in my garden for 17 years in Rhinebeck. And when we were getting into the whole thing, decided that it was going to be in my backyard, the economics of it were very hazy. You know, it might take 10 hours a week of highway department personnel to run the thing.
Yeah.
But then we were talking about a lot of other things that has to be handled daily. But when I hear you say that we could have a village town composting program for $900 a month, maybe $1,000
Yeah,
a month.
thousands.
When we were talking 20,000, but there really wasn't a detailed business plan to support the 20,000, which Elizabeth would agree with.
Well,
But that sounds like a great thing, you know? Why would not anybody want to do that?
I think that we're digesting this
Yeah.
on the town level. It's a completely reasonable question. I don't think we have an answer for you. I think that was the point of Alan's presentation, was to say, hey, we're working on this stuff, this is where we're at. The thing I want to be clear about is that this is fueled and driven by the village because they got a grant. This is their initiative,
Right.
and we're trying to support them.
So there's free money, and just because it's free,
I'm not getting
we should
into,
spend it?
that's not for me to decide. I didn't receive the money.
Right.
The village received the money.
Right.
They applied for the money, so it makes sense to me that they would want to spend the money.
Mhm.
If there's an existential question about whether they should have gotten the money, then we can all have that another thing, but at another time, but they have the money, they want to do this, so,
Right. But you could accomplish a thing for $1,000 a month.
yeah, the difference in price,
and that's a question that the town board will address.
the pickup and delivery of the compost, difference in price is $150 a month to deliver it locally versus taking it over to Kingston.
Right,
And if you take it over to Kingston, you don't have to have a compost facility in the town.
right.
That's the long and the short of it.
But it seems economically it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you make a decision other than that, I really have to understand.
Yeah, well, if
Right,
you
but
do, you will.
again, at this point, we are offering, the town of
Yeah.
Rhinebeck is offering no dollars,
Mhm.
we're offering support for their
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah,
The financial implications of it, or what we choose to do,
right.
will be addressed in the fall at our budget season. And you should all pay attention to what we're up to, because we try to do a good job and put money in the right place.
Well, I think it's great you've looked at alternatives, and I guess the obvious isn't how it works. I'm not a government person, but there's an obvious answer that's a common sensey kind of thing, and we can't get a common sensey kind of answer.
Well, I mean, the one consideration that I think is in the running, if you will, is a local farmer who already does
Yeah.
compost.
Right.
And this would just add to their operation.
Mhm.
I think if we don't have that, then the only real positive, or the only real practical
Right.
alternative is take it all to Kingston.
Okay.
So I mean, that's,
But again, to be clear,
Yeah.
the village is pursuing this, and we
Right.
are working to support them. What our financial contribution is not defined.
Yeah.
Gary, is that fair?
Background money.
Is that a fair statement? Thank you. Join us.
Hi, Karen Murphy, also part of the group that, I don't think John meant to get so heated, it was just, I think we're feeling that the four alternatives, that we're still, the village highway department is still on as one of the alternatives.
No, it's
We're under the- Okay, that was the only question, because we thought it was now back on as an alternative.
It's an
that's
analysis.
That's what we're looking at, we looked at it, if you look at my recommendations at the last chart, I said, I recommend we go to Kingston or go to a farmer, and that's it.
Okay, all right, so it was just a misunderstanding of, wording, because we thought this was starting all over again, and we thought that it had already been put to bed, that's all.
The village got a grant. The village wants to use that grant for composting. In the instance of the property adjacent to you all, it was in the town. So it's a town activity. That evening when you all came, we heard your concerns, and we went to address them. And this is where we're at in the process.
And that's where the other two alternatives came.
Okay.
There are the three.
Thank you.
Good? So I have to make a motion for executive session to discuss a current bit of litigation the town's involved.
It's current litigation. Who is the litigant?
I'm sorry?
Who is the litigant?
Can't hear you, Bill.
Who's the litigant?
Who are the parties involved?
No, come on.
Yeah, no.
We're
come
not
on.
going to,
If it is, wait.
if you, excuse me, if you're entitled to know what matter we're discussing, I'll find that out and tell you tomorrow, but
Okay.
it feels wrong, I know about the open meetings law, of course, but it feels wrong to even mention which case of the various cases we're discussing. So,
Here, I'll give you just a short thing. If it is the case that it's already in the system, okay, then because it is made public, you know, the public is entitled to know. If it is a case that the town is considering bringing against litigant but has yet to file, then yes, you would be able to
it's
withhold.
existing litigation, Bill.
Existing.
It's a
Okay.
matter that
And
is,
so if you want
in
to
the courts
give
now.
So if you're saying that you'll give Kristen O'Neill at the Committee on Open Government a call tomorrow. Kristen
Sorry?
O'Neill is
I have
the
it.
assistant.
okay.
She's the
If it's-
assistant
if it's
director.
so-
And give
If
her a
it's
call.
appropriate, fine, I'm just not,
And
You
you
have no
have, you have my number.
I do not know that specifically. I'm learning-
we'll find out, and yes, I have your phone number.
Yeah, you have my phone number. And if I happen to be wrong, also give me a call.
And if I happen to be wrong, I'm sorry, I just,
Now, listen, I don't think that every
it's,
board, and no matter how long people have been on, know this stuff wrote.
That's right.
So at least you're telling me you'll give it a shot.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Check it out.
100%.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Fair enough.
So we should let you know when we have the answer. Okay,
Sounds like fun.
good. We'll be back.
Okay.
Have I missed anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's not possible. Hearing that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
And luckily, this is all available on Panda, so you can watch it for further humor of my performance.
No, you did well.